At this health center in Senegal, it's the patients who stock the shelves. They use a mobile app called Joko Sante, which rewards patients who return unused drugs by giving them points to purchase different drugs later.
I used to have a lot of problems in buying medicines, but now it's gotten so easy for me to get them.
The app was developed by a Senegalese entrepreneur who wants to put an end to fake drugs and the waste of good unused medicines.
These counterfeit medicines are usually bought by those who are most vulnerable, those who don't have the money, because they are sold at a lower price. Now we're enabling those people to have access to better medicines, but certainly helping in the fight against counterfeit drugs.
They give us their prescription and we verify it. Is it really a prescription given out by a doctor or a nurse? And we also check the expiry date and the state of the medicine.
Here in Senegal, over half of the population don't have health insurance. And the uninsured are more likely to buy cheap counterfeit drugs. Throughout sub-Saharan Africa, 1 in 3 medicines are reported by authorities to be fake. And often these medicines prove to be fatal. For those who cannot afford to buy authentic medicines, the Joko Sante app also allows brands to sponsor drug purchases. And developers say they hope to eliminate fake drugs completely with the help of ordinary people. Sourav, TRT World.
TRT World's Africa reporter Fidelis Mbah joins me now. Fidelis, great to have you. Give us an idea of how expensive it is in sub-Saharan countries to buy proper, authentic medicines.
Well, especially across West Africa, West Central and Southern Africa, it's a bit expensive trying to get authentic medicine because most of these are not produced locally. People still have to import them with taxes here and there, and also the purchasing power of some people, especially those in rural areas. So it's a bit expensive. For those who are in urban centers, they can afford this. But then people in rural areas, some who are even living below $1 a day, where do they even have the money to feed? Talk about, taking care of their health. So it's sometimes, which is why they look for alternative, just like Sourav mentioned in his report. This is something not just peculiar to Senegal. It's something across sub-Saharan Africa, and it's been a problem for many years.
So you've lived and reported from that part of the world for many years. That app that Sourav mentioned, do you think that it's going to solve this problem?
Well, that app might not really solve the problem to some extent. In general, it might go a long way in terms of trying to just reduce the problem of counterfeit drugs, especially in urban centers, because we're talking about people in rural areas, some who are not even literate enough to be able to use these phones, some, to use this app. How many of them even have access to mobile phones to be able to send text messages, to be able to find out which drug is, genuine and which is not genuine. So in the urban centers, yes, where many of these people have this, have access to phone, they have access to internet, they can do that. But in rural areas, that might still take, a while before you can get that sorted.
I mean, as we know, a country's health is crucially important in its economic development. In your opinion, then, what is the missing link in providing this kind of care and availability of medicines to the vast rural populations that you're talking about?
But the problem is, like also Sourav mentioned, many countries in Africa, they don't have health insurance for people. So people are left to fend for themselves. People are left to take care of their health. People are left to look for alternative. I give you an instance. If I go to Nigeria, for instance now, I can just, walk over to a pharmacy and tell them, look, I think I have headache. And then I think I need maybe paracetamol or I need this. Or I'll tell them, it's something that's been happening over the years, unlike in developed countries where they will ask you to provide a doctor's prescription, have you run tests, So people don't, these are things that government, first of all, has to provide the enabling environment for people to be able to access, health insurance, and then be able also to have these services available, especially in rural areas where they can easily walk in, get, people to test them, to carry out tests, to be able to ascertain what's wrong with them, and not people just determining how they feel like and then looking for what they think should be the cost.
So looking at this from a business point of view, I can sort of see two opportunities there. One is possibly the potential market for original pharmaceuticals, and the other is actually for insurance then. Would you say that that's a fair assessment?
Well, the biggest of the market in terms of, because there's a gap there which pharmaceutical companies are going to take advantage of, because right now, especially in urban centers, the purchasing power of so many people is increasing, lifestyle is changing, and people are getting increasingly aware of the need to take care of their health. So people want to go for tests, those in urban centers, and also the changing lifestyle, which is increasing diseases across Africa. Before now, it was just HIV and malaria that were the major killer diseases. But right now, you have things like cancer, you have things like diabetes, you have people suffering heart attack as a result of changing lifestyle.
Interesting times. Fantastic analysis. Fidelis, thank you very much for your insight.